Hey guys, it's Wilson. This video is going to show you how to take a finished design and get it ready for either laser cutting or shopbotting. So what I need to do is create a layout. I'm going to start by going to New Drawing. And the first thing it asks me is paper size. Well, my paper size is going to be the piece of wood that I'm going to use. I'm going to pretend that I'm getting this ready for the shopbot, and that means two things. I'm going to be cutting my stuff out at full scale, and I'm going to be using a 4 foot by 4 foot piece of wood. If you're going to be setting this up for the laser cutter, you're going to have about a 1 foot by 1 foot piece of wood, and you're going to be cutting it at a smaller scale. So I'm going to go, instead of standard sheet size, I'm going to go to custom sheet size, and I'm going to put 48 IN. You have to put inches after it, or it won't be the right size. And then 48 IN. So 4 feet by 4 feet is 48 inches by 48 inches. Freaks out for a little bit, and then I get a big square. Next, I go to Drawing, Model View, and I'm going to browse for the pieces of the part I want to make. So I need the bottom slot. And before I place it, I want to come down here and set my scale. So I don't know what the sheet scale tends to be, but I go to custom scale, and I'm going to put either 1/1, so 1 to 1, or 1:1, and then you click off that field to apply it. And yeah, so I know this is about 2 feet tall, and I see that's about half as tall. I could create other views of it if I want. I don't, because I'm cutting this out with a machine. I don't need those views. I'm going to repeat the process. I need top slot next. Make sure my scale is at 1 to 1. Click off to make sure that applies. Yes, that looks right. Approve it. And finally, get my 245 top. Come down. Scale is correct. And bam. Okay. So my 3 parts fit really well on a 4 foot by 4 foot sheet. Let's say they don't. I want to show you guys some ways that you can edit and move stuff around to get things to fit tighter. So, okay, first of all, this part has a center line in it. 2 things. First of all, do you guys see that my center line isn't centered? That's a problem. Well, once I'm done with this video, I'm actually going to go back and I'm going to fix that stuff. But what I want to show you guys is you can actually click and just delete that. So if you have any center lines show up, make sure you delete them. Otherwise, the machine is going to try to cut those lines. We don't want that. Next, I can obviously grab and move these around. If you have a bunch of the same part, like little wedges for the mortise and tenon joints or whatever, you can actually, okay, you can't click copy, but what I'm going to do is I'm going to grab that view and I'm going to hit Control-C on the keyboard, and then Control-V, 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 and now I actually have a bunch of these. Okay, so way faster way for you to put a bunch of similar views on there if you're cutting a bunch of the same part. Each of my parts is different. I don't need to do that. The next thing I can do is, what if I want to rotate these things so that they fit together better? What you do is you select the view. You go up here, right in the middle of the screen is Rotate Model View. How convenient. And I can put in a precise rotation. Let's say I know I want to do 90 degrees. Or you can actually grab this, and let's say I'm just trying to get something to fit with something else. I'm trying to like rotate it so it fits into a tight spot. You can do it that way too. Super useful. So let's see where I'm at. I want to get these as close together as I can. Ooh. So that I use as little wood as possible. That way I can actually cut these pieces out later and have rectangular pieces of plywood for other projects. So for me, I want to do that. Grab all my views and bring them down here. Okay. And let's say I bring these like really close. I'm going to show you guys a little problem you can run into. Okay. Here we go. Here's what my machine's going to cut out. And I want to show you guys something. So make sure you're looking at me on the screen. If I want to cut this part out, the way it's going to cut out on the shopbot especially is I'm going to have a spinning bit that's going to go around and cut that out. And the problem is if I have two parts really close together, just grabbing junk off my desk to show you this, like that bit is going to cut through one of the parts or the other to try to get through that gap. So what I need is to keep my parts far enough away that bit has clearance. And here's the rule, 1/2 inch. I need 1/2 inch of material between my parts. So check this out. What I'm going to do is I'm going to go to Sketch, and I'm going to draw a circle, and I'm going to give that a circle a radius of 0.25, which means a diameter of 1/2 inch. And if you don't believe me, we can go here and put a diameter on it, and it's 1/2 inch. 0.5 inch, yep. Okay, this is cool. This is my cutting bit. So I can actually go through and say, yeah, plenty of room here. In fact, I'm gonna tuck that in a little closer because I can. Grab this again. Come over here and I see, whoa, I really don't have enough room. Let's do that, and now I got room there. All right, cool. Now I have plenty of room between my parts, but I don't want to cut this, so okay. Yes, delete. Okay, I want to delete that sketch when I'm done because I don't want the machine to cut out that little circle. It'll be dumb. All right, once you have this done, we're actually going to save it and we're going to run it through a different piece of software to prepare it for the laser or the shopbot. You actually prepare them the same way. Last thing I want to tell you guys, let's talk scale factor. I told you I set this up for the shopbot. Now that's because, I should say I set it at full scale because in the shopbot we want to cut it the size we designed it. For the laser cutter, you want to scale it based on the sizes of the piece of wood that you use. So I designed this with a 1/2 inch slot because my wood is 1/2 inch thick. If I'm going to cut it on the laser, I need to scale it down so that the width of the slot is equal to the thinner plywood. And we'll talk about that in class about what that scale factor should be. But just know, if you're going to use the laser, you're going to scale it down so it fits the thinner wood. And if you're going to use the shopbot, we're going to do it full scale because you should have designed your part in Solidworks for 1/2 inch thick plywood. All right, here we go. I'm going to save this. Looks like it needs to update the assembly, so we'll say save all. I'm going to save it in pedestals in my 24x5. And I'm going to call this the 245 layout. Okay, now let's get this thing ready for the shopbot. I'm gonna go and I'm gonna save as again. Save it as 245 layout, but I wanna save this as a DWG, a drawing file. Now this is a universal file type that a lot of other programs besides Solidworks will recognize. I'm gonna put it in my pedestals folder in the 24x5, keeping myself organized. And nothing happened. I'm assuming it worked. Up, there we go, now something happened. I go here, I see my DWG file in my pedestals in 24x5. And now I'm gonna open up Corel Draw. Some of you guys have used this software before, some of you guys haven't. You should totally learn how to use it, it's awesome. Takes a while to open up. And what we're gonna do is configure the lines to be the kind of lines that the laser cutter and the shopbot like. And what's really nice is they both like the same kind of line. So, all right, here's Corel. I'm gonna say open document. And because I'm organized, I know right where my document is. I know it's in my Google Drive, My Drive, MTHS, projects, pedestals. We're working on the 24, and there is my DWG. Open that up and let's see what we get. All right, it's gonna open it up. I want it to open up at 1:1 scale. Whoa, it's huge. Okay, first thing I need to do, the geometry carried over with the DWG, the paper size did not. So I'm gonna go back and I'm gonna say this is a 48-inch by 48-inch piece of material, looking good. I'm gonna move my parts over to the corner like so, making sure I have that 1/2-inch gap even around the edges. I'm just kind of eyeballing it. Remember, 1/2 inch between the parts, 1/2 inch around the edges. And here we go. Here's why we're in the software. Drag a selection rectangle, grab everything, come up here, hit the down arrow, go to hairline. You may not see anything happen, but you see when I select stuff, it's hairline. With everything selected, the next thing you're gonna do is you're gonna go over here to red, and you're just gonna right click. If you left click, it fills everything. That's no good. If you do that, we gotta come over here, left click on no color. But you wanna right click, and there we go. Red hairline is the magic number for both the shopbot and the laser cutter. You guys can bring this file over to the laser cutter and be good to go, or I'll have another video on how to get things set up for the shopbot. All right, guys, that's everything for you. If you guys get stuck, ask Wilson for help or whatever instructor you're working with. See ya.